as you know, during terms 2 and 3, all of our Year 9 students have currently been engaging in their sub-senior studies planning. This little short presentation really is going to talk about what a sub-senior studies plan is, what are our 4 senior pathways here at Bellbird Park, Year 10 curriculum at Bellbird Park and the subject types that your student is able to select, prerequisites for senior in Year 11 and 12 that the Year 10s will need to achieve to be able to continue to select those subjects in senior, and how to select your Year 10 subjects based on your academic history, skills, interests and career aspirations. Our vision here for senior schooling at Bellbird Park is that every student, regardless of their background, starting point, is engaged in a clear, meaningful and individualised pathway that is aligned with their ability, future goals, and that will allow them to transition out of school into the world of work with the knowledge and skills required to navigate and flourish. Many pathways, no limits for our students here at Bellbird. The Sub-Senior Studies Plan is a plan developed between Bellbird Park, your student and the parent to map a pathway and subject selection from Year 9 into 10, Year 10 into 11, Year 11 in Year 12 and Year 12 out into further study, further training or employment. There are a number of pathways from Bellbird Park to further study and work, and there'll be a number of pathways from work or further study into other avenues as well. The Sub-Senior Studies Plan is a plan developed between Bellbird Park, the student and the parent to map a student's pathway and subject selections into Year 10, throughout the senior phase of learning and out into the world of work following Year 12. There are a number of pathways from here to further study and work, and there'll be a number of pathways out from the world of work into further education and training if needed. We need to remember that each student is different and they have their own dreams and own aspirations. Our aim here is to provide the support balanced with the reality. Match the endpoint to the student, not the student to an endpoint. When we are making sub-senior studies plan decisions, it's important to take into consideration the student's interests, skills, ability, achievements, and career goals. They will need to use those pieces of information to select one of our 4 pathways here. They'll need to take into consideration senior prerequisite requirements. Most importantly, they'll need to make sure that they're going to select subjects that they will enjoy and can be successful in. And finally, make sure that their plan is mapped out always with a plan B in mind. During the Sub-Senior Studies Plan, there are a number of resources available to support you and your student in their decision making. Firstly, each student will receive a printed copy of the Sub-Senior Studies Planning Workbook, which they will engage in during the term, during their Monday Pathways classes. Each student will receive a colour printed copy of the Year 9 into 10 subject guide, which outlines the major pathways, assessments, subjects and costs of each subject available. Students will receive their subject selection form where they will indicate their proposed selections for Year 10. Due to COVID, this year we've not been able to have an on-site subject selection presentation evening. So in its place, we have filmed a series of virtual subject selection presentations for each of the core and elective subject offerings. These virtual presentations outline all of the key information you will need to make decisions around pathways and subjects. These presentations will be available on our college website. At Bellbird, our motto is many pathways and no limits. We have a number of pathway options available for our students as we move through from Year 10 through to Year 12 and into Year 13 when they finish school. Our 4 key pathways to success at Bellbird are an academic pathway, a blended pathway, a Phoenix pathway, and a life pathway. Our academic pathway is primarily for students who have a definite interest in attending university directly after school. All students on an academic pathway will be intending to be ATAR eligible in Year 11 and 12. Students on an academic pathway may wish to also attend TAFE or complete a degree through the Defence Force. To select an academic pathway, your student would have a history of high attendance meeting our expectation of 95% attendance. Your student would be achieving A's and B's in each of their subjects on every report card and be regularly engaging in study and the completion of assessment at home. You would always be committed to achieving to the best of their ability. Students on an academic pathway in Year 10 would be looking to select subjects with the word general in them. They are general preparation subjects. These subjects are the general subjects in senior that you would do that will enable you to remain ATAR eligible and elect to go to university. All students on an academic pathway will be working towards achieving their Queensland Certificate of Education. Students in a blended pathway are students that are not sure if they want to go to university. They probably want to go to TAFE or complete a trade or a qualification through the Defence Force. Students on a blended pathway will have a combination of subjects and can either aim to be ATAR eligible or not ATAR eligible in Year 11 and 12. All students selecting a blended pathway would have a history of high attendance, maintaining our 95% attendance rate, would generally have a history of B's and C's on each and every report card, be able to study and complete assessment at home, and be committed to achieving to the best of their ability. Students on a blended pathway would be able to choose a range of subjects, either general or essential subjects for Year 10. Every student on a blended pathway will be working towards their Queensland Certificate of Education. Students on a Phoenix pathway are students that are wishing to go out into the world of work following Year 12. They might want to go to TAFE, complete an apprenticeship or trade, or get a job. Students on this pathway will not be ATAR eligible. Students traditionally would select this pathway if they've been consistently attaining C's or below on their report card, or are definitely sure they want to go into one of the pathways listed above. Students on a Phoenix pathway would choose subjects of an applied or essential nature for Year 10. All students in a Phoenix pathway will be working towards their Queensland Certificate of Education. Students in a life pathway would be looking to transition to supported employment following Year 12. This pathway is dedicated to our students with a disability, a verified disability, with a history of being engaged in intensive curriculum planning and support from our Diverse Learners Department. Students in this pathway will have support to select subjects where they can continue to build on their goals. They would be selecting English Essentials, Maths Essentials, Applied Science, and our READ program. Students in the life pathway will not be working towards a Queensland Certificate of Education, but rather a Queensland Certificate of Individual Achievement. Year 10 curriculum is structured in a way that every student will select a level of English, a level of Maths, and a level of Science to be completed throughout the year. Each student will also select a level of history to complete for one semester only and engage in core health and physical education. Students will then have the ability in Year 10 to select 3 elective subjects that run for the year. Each of these electives will run for 2 lessons a week. All of our Year 10 subject offerings and subject types are still written to align with the Australian curriculum set for Year 10 students. The difference between most of our subjects in the general, applied and blended are the pace at which they move through this national curriculum. There are 3 main subject types in Year 10: general, applied or essential subjects, and blended subjects. General subjects are suited to those students who are primarily interested in an academic pathway. An academic pathway is a pathway beyond senior school that leads to university. These subjects are academically rigorous and prepares students for extensive writing and speaking tasks. General subjects will require written assessments of 700 words and beyond. They will also require spoken assessment in the 3 to 5 minute range. General subjects will require independent study at home and will have a block exam at the end of each semester. The applied and essential category of subjects are suited to those students who are primarily interested in pathways beyond senior schooling that lead to vocational education and training, TAFE, or work. These subjects are still academically rigorous, however, they move through curriculum at a slower pace than the general subjects, and the length of assessments will be slightly shorter. This subject will still require independent study at home, and students in Essential English, Essential Maths, and Applied Science will still have a block exam at the end of each semester. Blended subjects are a combination of subjects, either general and applied, or applied and vocational education and training preparation subjects. Students in blended subjects will study a different unit each term and will be prepared academically to select either of the subjects that are blended in Year 10 in Year 11 and 12 when they are separate subjects. At Bellbird Park, we have a number of core subject offerings. Each student will need to select one level of English, one level of maths, one level of humanities, and one level of science. For our elective subject offerings, students will be able to select one elective subject per line, and they will be able to select from a large range of subjects in the applied technologies, business, IT field, health and physical education, humanities, the arts, and science. In Year 10, students will need to ensure that they're engaged in their learning to ensure that they meet prerequisite requirements to then continue to select those subjects in Year 11. Our prerequisites are in place to ensure that our students pick subjects that they are going to be successful in. We know that a B in a Year 10 subject sets them up for the most likelihood of success in Year 11 and 12. All of our general subjects in Year 11 and 12 have a prerequisite requirement in Year 10 listed on the page. All of our essential and applied subjects at Bellbird have some healthful pathways listed. If you are intending on selecting these subjects in Year 11 and 12, it's important to make sure that you select them in Year 10 and meet these prerequisite requirements. So now that you're aware of all of our 4 key pathways here at Bellbird Park, it's important to take into consideration the following things when selecting your subjects. Make sure that your student knows which pathway they are planning to be on. Are they planning to be academic, blended, Phoenix, or on a life pathway? Please make sure that your students select subjects that match their ability level, motivation, and interests. Please make sure that your students select subjects in Year 10 that they intend at this point in time of studying in senior, and that they are aware of the prerequisites they would need to attain in Year 10 to be able to continue to select them in Year 11 and 12. Please select the best fit subject on each line. Focus on the skills your student will gain from each subject on their pathway. Please consult the Year 10 subject handbook and any online subject selection presentations to ensure your student is aware of the assessment requirements and subject costing of each subject on offer. Please be aware of the Year 10 assessment requirements. If your student is on an academic pathway, make sure that they are prepared to sit a block exam at the end of each semester and complete written assessments. If you would like to discuss your students' proposed selections before locking them in, please consult with the classroom teachers, head of department, or you can make a booking to meet with our head of senior schooling, Mr. Trent Cruiser. Where to from here? All Year 9 students will continue to engage in weekly sub-senior studies planning lessons and career sessions on Monday in their Pathways classes. All subject selection presentations will be available via our college website. And finally, your Year 9 student subject selections will be held on Monday the 17th of August. Students will be required to bring their subject selection form and complete their subject selection on the computer with their Pathways teacher. In the meantime, if you would like to do some additional research around senior subjects, tertiary admission or ATARs, or any of our curriculums, please click on the links attached.